going to talk about being trans and being in prison. What? Oh, shit, you can't talk about both in the same breath. Back into the closet with you. Which closet? Both. This is the sort of reception I feel like I receive in some trans communities. Being trans is a big part of who I am, and being an ex-convict is a big part of who I am. The two are even interrelated in some odd way. It was being in prison that forced me to admit my truth and come out of my own private prison. Yet it seems to be taboo to talk about prison in trans communities. Well, I'm sorry, but my life is all about breaking taboos. So here goes. For me, being in federal prison for 7 years was a deeply spiritual experience. Prison was a crash course in maintaining self-awareness. You have to be self-aware at all times. It is so easy in prison to pick up on the negativity of others. You are immersed in it. If you aren't aware of it, you will pick it up. You will find yourself complaining about everything. You will find yourself falling into victim mode. And when you fall into victim mode in prison, victimization follows. Prison is a constant exercise in staying focused within your own heart. So long as you do that, so long as you take responsibility for how you occupy space within each moment while maintaining a caring detachment for the circumstances of each moment, in that act of awareness, you escape prison, even as the bars clang shut around you. Living like this, you are freed to appreciate life, even in the worst of circumstances. For me, living in prison was fun. Yes, I know how weird that sounds, but it is true. One day when I was telling prison stories, a friend said that she learned so much from me, but it was odd to hear me talk about prison the way some people talk about summer camp. I get that. Prison was like being in summer camp. Prison was a summer camp that could go bad at any moment, life-threateningly bad. It was a summer camp from which your parents could not retrieve you. Prison, like all life experiences, was what you made of it. For the most part, I chose to make it a meaningful, loving, and humorous interaction with other people, albeit people who may laugh with you one moment and shiv you the next. Don't get me wrong. I had some very bad experiences in prison, but even those bad experiences built character, depending entirely on how you viewed them and what you were open to learning from them. Yes, I was threatened with bodily harm. I was picked on and degraded. And I was threatened with sexual assault by inmates and COs alike. It was very much like coming out trans. And all of those situations could be diffused or escalated depending on how I reacted to them. However, there were heartfelt moments when I shared a love and a bond with other inmates that people don't experience outside of such adverse conditions. We were brothers in arms. Granted, those arms were homemade shivs. There was laughter in prison. Sides splitting, tears rolling down your face, pee yourself laughter. And there was cause for smiling, if you so chose to. I had a friend in prison named Fast. He was a very bitter black guy who kept up a threatening posture. He used to pick on me, but in the way an older brother might, protectively. He used to ask me all the time, "Smiley, why are you always smiling?" That was his personal name for me, Smiley. I never knew how to answer that question to his satisfaction until one day when I said, "The day I stop smiling is the day they win." He looked at me seriously as he considered this answer. Then he nodded his head once and said, "I like that." Fast was the head shot caller of the North Carolina car. One day, a guy who was new to the yard, a little guy from North Carolina, walked into the TV room and sat down in the Pittsburgh seats. I saw more fights break out in prison over the TV room than about anything else, even owing money. This prison was in Pennsylvania, so the Pittsburgh car had home turf advantage. When the Pittsburgh guys showed up, they told him to move. Instead of quietly moving, Shorty argued with them. Tempers flared, and he realized too late that he had gotten himself what he had gotten himself into. He left the TV room and went to his room. There are cameras in the TV rooms and in the hallways, but not in the inmate rooms or in the bathrooms. If someone asked you to step into the bathroom, that meant they wanted to have words that might lead to a fight. And if someone came into your room uninvited, well, that meant they were there to fight. The North Carolina guys followed Shorty into the room, where they proceeded to beat the shit out of him. Somebody ran down the hall and told, "Quit." Fast. Fast raced down to the little guy's room to help him. Shorty was down, and he wasn't getting up. His assailants, hungry for more fun, took on Fast. He was holding his own against 3 assailants, and even gaining ground, when a 4th guy snuck up behind him and brought him down. Prison fights don't end when someone goes down. If you go down for good, your opponents will surround you and proceed to kick the shit out of you until you can't get up. That's what happened to Fast. He was unconscious by the time the fight was over. The Pittsburgh crew disappeared, and Fast and Shorty were taken to the hospital. I heard that Fast lost the vision in one eye. The COs were worried about retribution. Peace was brokered between the Pittsburgh car and the North Carolina car. When Fast returned to prison, he was placed in the SHU, the special housing unit, the prison within the prison. A month later, he was shipped to another facility. I saw him walking out to the transit bus in cuffs and leg irons. He walked with dignity, even in shackles. That was one of those moments when prison broke bad. Fast acquitted himself well. Even the Pittsburgh car had to admit that, though grudgingly. You could be detached in prison, even spiritually detached. You could have fun while you were there. Both detachment and having fun were healthy ways to survive the ordeal, so long as you did not get too comfortable and complacent. It was my observation that whenever someone became too comfortable in prison, that's when something would happen to upset their apple cart. But I did have fun in prison. I monkey-wrenched and joked and helped to alleviate the pain of others as best I could. Monkey-wrenching was widely encouraged and even respected. We viewed ourselves as prisoners of war, unjustly confined, no matter what our charge was. And as prisoners of war, it was our duty to upset the system in whatever way possible. Everyone stole from the prison. Turning a profit from such theft was a respected hustle. For a while, I had a business with a Sicilian inmate named Joey. Central Unit, which was south of the South Unit. Don't ask me to explain. The moment you start trying to apply logic to prison is the moment you will lose your mind. New mattresses were purchased for the inmates, but the only people who received them were the inmates in Central. The rest of us continued to sleep on thin little 1-inch pads atop cast iron frames. They had more mattresses piled in the warehouse. I have no clue why they did not distribute them. Joey would scout out unoccupied bunks in Central, while I found customers in North. When we had a customer, Joey would take a mattress from an unoccupied bunk and carry it down the long green corridor that led to South. Yeah, we called it the Green Mile. In South, he would carry it up the stairs, down the hallway, and around the corner to Southeast. The eastern corridor was cut in half by a barred gate. The southern end of the corridor was southeast, and the northern end was northeast. We weren't supposed to go near this gate, but of course we did. Messages were conveyed through the bars, and goods were exchanged either for favors, other goods, or macs. Macro packets were the basic currency in this particular institution. I would meet Joey at this gate. It had a gap at the top, just big enough to squeeze a mattress through. I would take the mattress, bring it to our customer, and pick up his payment. We split the profits evenly. Both of us could have gone to the shoe had we ever been caught, but we never were, though they could watch the entire operation on security cameras. Hustles were tolerated by the staff. Now and then, in the midst of having fun with my brothers in arms, I would look around and it would occur to me that I was in prison. This was a prison moment. If you let it get to you, a prison moment could drag you down to a dangerous level, where you might strike out in anger, and that never ended well. For myself, whenever I had a prison moment, I would shrug it off with laughter. Indeed, I've suffered more angst about prison since leaving than I ever did during my 7 years of confinement. It is only since getting out that I have suffered the debilitating PTSD associated with 7 years of ongoing stress and trauma. The PTSD of former prison inmates can only be compared to that of war veterans and survivors of abusive homes. All of this came to me just now, in the middle of the night, because I have had my first trans moment. For the first time since coming out, I paused from my experience as I realized, hey, I'm trans. But where a prison moment is a reminder that you are in prison, a trans moment is a reminder that you are free. Both can be useful realizations as they can help to anchor you and recenter you in the present moment. In both experiences, you realize that circumstances don't matter, that life is what you make of it. You realize that you can make of prison a summer camp where you are freed from your own personal prison. Or you can make of your freedom a prison if you cling to it rigidly. You realize that no matter the circumstances, you must find the truth within your heart and dwell within it. When you are centered within your heart, without trying to hoard it, but instead allowing the light you find there to shine freely upon the world around you, then and only then are you truly free. You can make of your prison a freeing experience, and you can make of your expression of freedom a prison. To do the former and avoid the latter, you must stay centered in your own heart and experience this moment of existence, no matter the circumstances, with a detached appreciation. Do not cling to your identity, because that will make of it a prison. Let it go. Open your heart and express yourself fully within this and every moment as though you are an artist and this life is your canvas. To do otherwise is to remain closeted. To do otherwise is to remain in prison.